Ranked most popular gaming genres by generation. Adventure, puzzle, shooter. Does Minecraft count as adventure? Or Roblox count as adventure? Do they list any of this anywhere? Remember Destiny, nostalgia has rose-tinted beer goggles. Gen Z grew up with DRM, DLC, FOMO, platform-specific packages, and microtransactions out the ass. They like games, but they know it as an expensive hobby. Excuse me, you are reverse FOMOing or unFOMOing. You're doing something really the opposite there. Like Gen Z or Gen Alpha, or you guys will complain today about like platform-specific packages. In my day, games were platform specific. If you wanted to play a Final Fantasy, you had to buy a PlayStation. If you wanted to play like a lot of shooters, Gears of War, Halo, you had to buy an Xbox. You had to buy a whole ass system. Also, those systems were hella expensive. Holy, those systems were like $300, $400, $500, $600 sometimes. Okay, nominal. That's not adjusted for inflation. Adjusted for inflation, it was like $1,000 for some of these systems. And you didn't get any fucking, they still are? Yeah, welcome to the real world. Welcome to inflation, my friend. Okay, hold on. I have so many links open still. Wait. Do I don't care about this that much.
Sugar, what do you think you're doing?
Why the fuck was I linked this? What were we talking about?
I told you I'm not very bright.
Let's go! Wedding gown.
Okay. Sorry, Jesus. I'm dying. Pay attention, Gen Z. Breaking. President real Donald Trump just announced on Air Force One that he will be banning the evil CCP compromised app TikTok. America can't continue to allow our citizens to be surveilled by Xi Jinping and his terrorist cronies. I have long advocated for this. Fight back. Trump is saving TikTok. Pay attention, Gen Z. Pay the fuck attention. Oh, okay. There was a second link of this because this guy's tweeted so much about TikTok. Ban TikTok, ban TikTok, ban TikTok. The US should partner with India and ban the Chinese data collection surveillance tool called TikTok. TikTok is a Chinese pseudo-military operation used to spy on our kids and harvest their data. Emulation is the Gen Y specific hobby, Destiny. You know this. Can't buy the old stuff, so Raspberry Pis plus emulation advancement keeps the old stuff alive for the new kids to play. I don't think anybody knows how to work a fucking Raspberry Pi, my dude. That's like a niche computer hobbyist thing. The average person has no fucking idea. They're cool, but TikTok has suspended a fan account of the Charlie Kirk Show again. This is the 20th time the account has been suspended for hate speech. It's way past time to ban TikTok. It is a cancer in America. We want to accelerate gains. Let's send more kids to trade schools, encourage family formation and home buying earlier. These are conservatizing life events. Why this obsession with like de-educating our population? Listen, if you don't have the mind for college or whatever, I don't even mean that. That's not a negative. But like because let's be real, fuck college, okay? College sucks sometimes. You don't want to go to college or you feel like you wouldn't excel there. Like trade school is infinitely better than just doing high school stuff. But like the obsession with trade school, like you still have to go into debt to go to trade school. Like you still borrow money for this shit. Like it's better than just high school, but it's not like if you can make it through college and get a degree, you're better off doing that almost every time. Also, none of these fuckers are sending their kids to trade school. If you don't take my word for it, just take their words for it. None of these conservatives that suck off trade schools, none of them are sending their kids to trade school fucking ever. And none of them went to trade school. So always remember that. These fuckers all came from fucking Yale and Harvard or some other like decent or good state school or private college, and their kids are going to the same fucking places, okay? Get some water, hold on. Why can't you just lay on the blanket? You have an actual cat blanket that's specifically made for you. Whatever. Fuck you. Why aren't there college alternatives that train people for white-collar jobs? I feel like a comp sci degree could be completely done online. All you need is a disciplined mind to learn. You know, I talked about that with Evil Mike 4 or 5 days ago. August just needs to release the interview. Oh, TikTok plays a massive role. Ban it. Joe Biden is likely to ban TikTok, an app he doesn't like because it's owned and promoted by big tech, a massive in-kind political donation that should be investigated. I've used TikTok now for a few weeks. We are approaching 1 million followers quickly. I can't speak to the privacy issues, but we are now reaching millions of Gen Z voters daily. Many are turning conservative as a result. It is an undeniable cultural impact. I think I can see why Biden wants this app banned. If the polling is right, it might be pushing younger voters to the right. So cringe. Stop eating that. Don't. That's not good for you. That's plastic.
Used for myself. I've raised a lot of money for the next race that I assume I can't use for myself, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. I think I'm not allowed to run again. I'm not sure. Am I allowed to run again, Mike? I better not get you involved in that argument. No, we raised a lot of money, a tremendous amount in our. I've raised.
Nice. What do they? What do they do with that money afterwards? Do they have to donate it to the party or? Have you considered the brand appeal of having a cat cam? I've thought about it, but it seems kind of expensive. If I had to have a whole ass fucking camera set up just for a cat, I don't know. Doesn't Trump look more bald here than usual? Doesn't he have a toupee, or am I making that up? Do you think he could realistically run again? He's way too old by then, no? I mean, I'd say so, but fucking who knows, bro? Honey, stop. You're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna die eating that. Oh, he's just doing it because it makes noise to fuck with me. That's what he's doing right now. He's not gonna eat it. He's just fucking with me. Okay.
And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Yeah, so people are mad at this gesture. All this gesture means is Heil Hitler.
Wait, is the audio desynced on this, or has it all been desynced?
Heil Hitler. This is all this gesture means. This is a gesture signifying your support for Hitler. Hitler was a politician in Germany in the 1940s. People had varying degrees of, some people really liked what he did. A lot of people were not into it. And that's fair. And I think when we look back on history, a lot of, now, you know what I mean? It's like things that happened then, like we'd never do now. And I think that's Hitler, that we run into that a little bit with Hitler, where it's like I
don't know all the history, but there's like so many analogous events where like Hitler tried to do an insurrection and got jailed for it, and then he got pardoned and let out, along with I think the people that helped him. There's just like a ton of like weird analogies for I don't know.
The time,
the beer hall pooch.
You know what I mean? It's like the word Oriental. It's a no-no now. But back then it wasn't, So I think this Hitler thing is just one of those things that, he's just heiling Hitler. And people seem really upset about that. I think they think that means something else. He's just saying, I like Hitler. That's not...
Do you think that a reasonable mind can think that Lena Khan and Elizabeth Warren are more destructive than the Republicans, e.g. Hanania? Like in a very childlike way, sure. But the problem is you have to think like your destructive capability doesn't just have to do with your ideas. It has to do with how likely are you to succeed on those ideas. Like people that are ultra progressive or really far to the left just don't have very much power politically. So they're not going to like be able to do anything. Whereas Trump can do whatever the fuck he wants because people will do anything Trump wants. The MAGA will never stop him. They will never check him on anything. Sorry, hold on. Apparently I fucked with his comedic timing. My bad.
Really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Yeah. So people are mad at this gesture. All this gesture means is Heil Hitler. This is all this gesture means. This is a gesture signifying your support for Hitler. Hitler was a politician in Germany in the 1940s. People had varying degrees of, some people really liked what he did. A lot of people were not into it. And that's fair. And I think when we look back on history, a lot of, now, you know what I mean? It's like things that happened then, like we'd never do now. And I think that's Hitler, that we run into that a little bit with Hitler, where it's like at the time, you know what I mean? It's like the word Oriental. It's a no-no now. But back then it wasn't, So I think this Hitler thing is just one of those things that, he's just heiling Hitler. And people seem really upset about that. I think they think that means something else. He's just saying, I like Hitler. That's not.
Wait, I don't understand what did I miss, or what am I supposed to take from this, or what did I miss? He's a sarcastic comedian. Yeah, I got that. But was there like some super under joke that I missed, or this is a bit, right? Obviously this is a bit. Why are you asking that? Obviously. It's just funny. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know if I was missing some like ultra fucking. Fuck, I clicked these links at the beginning of my stream. Hold on, what is this? Oh, they're trying to say that these salutes were the same or whatever. I feel like we've gone over this.
Thank you.
God, this is so weird. Fuck me. Don't let them gaslight you on this. It is true, though. God, it's so weird. It's such a weird thing. God, it's so weird. And he turns around and does it again. Who does that? Who does that?
Roe v. Wade was enacted, because we're not going back. We're not going back.
Thank you, Massachusetts, for the great honor of serving as your senator. Thank you, guys.
Reduce healthcare costs relative to where they're growing by.
Jesus Christ. Good one, Elon. Must be nice to have like your literal state media apparatus.
Happen.
Have Abby on to talk about this? I don't. I feel like it's like a no-win debate. It's like people are like, you can't know what's in somebody else's mind. I think that like there's just a really easy counter for this. Honestly, those who are saying that Elon was intentionally dog whistling a Nazi salute that happened to have the right amount of historical inaccuracy for plausible deniability, giving him way too much credit. The dude is just comically awkward and is completely lacking in the self-awareness department. That's really all this is. Okay, then just find one example ever of this happening. Ever. Just one example ever of this ever happening. Like, it should be a relatively common thing then if so many autistic, awkward people are having this happen, right? Just find like one example ever. Okay, this guy's not a politician, so it doesn't count. Yeah, the next argument is going to be, okay, fine, nobody else can do it, but Hitler was also autistic, and that's why he did it. Yeah, also that's true too. How is it that every single time Biden fucking stumbled through a sentence, Biden is like a senile retard who can't be trusted to run the government? But when these guys are oopsies, Nazi saluting, that's just like a cute little quirky autistic thing. Like, would I want Elon attending some fucking German diplomacy mission with Trump if this fucking retard might accidentally let go some fucking Nazi salutes in the middle of a conversation? Like, if you're that autistic, maybe you shouldn't be anywhere on stage or anywhere representing the United States or talking in any capacity ever. Get a VTuber, an avatar, go into the metaverse or whatever, right? Like if that's how little control you have over your body, you might accidentally, start Hitler saluting multiple times on stage. Maybe you don't need to be on stage representing the United States of America. Maybe, I don't know,
Oh shit! Ooh. No. George, the hood. In the hood? That's it. I'm done. Oh man, you can't give up.
Pardon J. Sixer, fatally shot amid altercation with police. Matthew W. Huddle, a 42-year-old who served his time for his role in the January 6th Capitol attack and was pardoned by Donald Trump, was shot and killed by a Jasper County Sheriff's deputy during a traffic stop in Indiana following an altercation with the officer. Police say Huddle was armed and resisted arrest. I'm surprised they didn't run with this more and say that he got, assassinated by a deep state operative. Like some Final Destination shit. Wait, is Final Destination the movie where people avoided death and then start randomly dying? Is that what I'm thinking of? Yes? Okay. What was this guy originally indicted or convicted for? I'm too lazy to find this document. Fuck me. Here's a video of the gesture Elon Musk actually uses when he wants to signify that he's sending his heart out to his fans. What Musk did at the Trump victory rally after months and months of racist and anti-Semitic posts were 2 Nazi salutes, period. Oh. Crazy. Do you think that people will look at Hitler differently in the far future? Genghis Khan is arguably as bad as Hitler, but he's typically portrayed as a badass in popular media. I feel like if he's ever portrayed as a badass, it's because people know how horrible he was. I don't think anybody argues that Genghis Khan was actually a good guy, no? But he's like a badass in a horrible, evil way, no? I think for the rewriting of Hitler, that's already started. And there are a lot of conservatives who are believing that. Tucker Carlson played a big part in that recently, right? The rewriting of Hitler is being done by... Remember, it's not about driving positives on people. It's about driving negatives driving negatives down on other people, right? Or driving negatives up. So that whole Churchill was the actual bad guy in World War II and not Hitler. That's part of the sanitizing Hitler's image. That's what that was part of. And Tucker Carlson did that whole interview with that faux historian doing that shit. Wait, what? Hold on.
I saw what you've been posting. Hitler
And it's based.
was right. I didn't teach you that. You hide behind your screen.
Hold on. Hold up. Moody?
Spewing all this hatred and ugliness. You got something you want to say? Get out of the truck and say it to their faces.
That feel when he gets out with his dual Desert Eagles. Okay, that's a bullshit number. Hitler was right, was posted over 70,000 times. I think it's like 70,000 times in a single day on X sometimes. There's no way. That number is way, 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 way fucking higher. Don't let Asmongold make you think he wants current day politics out of video games. He laughed his way through the Alex Jones game on stream, where you take down Hillary Clinton on the radical left base. I thought the biggest time conservatives told on themselves, or whatever the far right online people are, I don't know if you call them conservatives or not, are when they got mad about Wolfenstein and they were like, why do they have to make this so cringe, like obsessively killing Nazis and shit? It was like, why do you feel personally offended? What? Are you okay? Okay, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest shit now about Western Jewish populations, coming to the disturbing realization that those hordes of minorities that support flooding their country don't exactly like them too much. You want truth said to your face? There it is. Remember what I said earlier about like neo-Nazi talking points is that Jewish people push self-hatred to white people in order to weaken white communities, to flood immigrants in, to like dilute the white fucking gene pool or whatever. This is a neo-Nazi talking point. Elon Musk, you have said the actual truth. Good job, Elon. Did you ever think you would hear this from a Republican? I never thought I'd have Republicans in my DMs talking about how, oh, what, you don't trust Mark Zuckerberg? He's the owner of the largest social media thing. Like, okay, geez, I see where we're at now.
Essentially would be the U.S. essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would there be a private sector owner as
Could
well?
be, yeah, could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok.
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
Because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know.
Are you
I think, to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But you know, when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets...
I like how he did this with trans people too. When he doesn't want to talk about it anymore, like he can dictate how much an issue takes up in your mind, right? When he was running for the election, trans people were the biggest thing. And then afterwards, I think, does anybody have a link to that interview where he's like, trans people, who cares? This is like none of the population. Why are we talking about this, right? TikTok was a huge issue. Now, who cares? He tried to ban TikTok. I'm pretty sure he tried to ban TikTok via executive order on his way out last time. And now it's like, who cares anymore?
It's approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half? The U.S.
Based. People are linking this Philip Lowe, longtime friend and peer of Elon Musk, post open letter calling him out for what he is. I don't know. I never believe this shit where it's like, oh, I was this guy's friend forever and here's my expose. I don't know. Maybe it's true. I'm not saying whether it's true or not. I just don't know. I just never... I don't know if I trust that stuff. But I also haven't dug into it at all either, so... 10 years ago. What the fuck is this?
What's up,
Why?
y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm going to be doing something that I've been working on for a really, really long time, and that is a full level 90 to 100 Wards of Draenor questing walkthrough leveling guide, and whatever you want to call it, this is the video, and we're going to be going through every quest you need to be.
Okay. Finish the video, it's informative. What is this?
The clip for when Destiny talks about Sam Hyde being a Nazi and an alt-writer is from January 14th, 2022. Destiny made that collab video with Sam Hyde on June 19th, 2022. And now Destiny's claiming he didn't know Sam Hyde was a Nazi back then when he collabed with him. Clear evidence that he's lying now. Yeah, just like there was clear evidence that he, one, openly stated that NFTs were a fucking grift and you were stupid for buying an NFT, and then a week later got an NFT.
I love how he latches onto everything like a fucking vulture. It's so funny.
NFT sponsorship and farmed his fucking fan base. And that's what's so crazy about it, because like there's so much hypocrisy in this community that supposedly loves hypocrisy baiting, and yet they just can't comprehend that they're being gaslit over and over and over again.
Based crazy making. Like, again, all my shit is public. I've gone back and forth on Sam Hyde being a Nazi for quite a while. Ever since he was, like, you can literally, like, all of this is public. Never hid any of this. The only difference is I'm not a Nazi, whereas Hassan is a terrorist supporter / terrorist when he brings on terrorists that he likes to simp for, but. What is this? Oh. Wait. January 6th rider recently pardoned by Trump shot, killed by Indiana Sheriff's deputy while resisting arrest. Shot and killed during a traffic stop. Did he have a warrant? Jesus. How do you die during a traffic stop? Okay.
That you are saying you.
Tim Pool flipped out and called me evil just because I disagreed with him.
That you are saying you accept a certain degree of mass.
I like how everything is a crash out these days.
Suicide so that your graph go up.
That is not what I'm saying.
So you think we should
maybe we should sanction trade with Foxconn. Maybe we should restrict trade in that industry. Maybe that specific region of China you suspend. It's horrible. It's evil. China's evil. I don't know what you're trying to make me say about.
We should not do trade
with anything with China. Okay, you explain that to Americans when every single thing they rely on and buy gets more expensive after years of inflation under Biden.
I will.
You come in. MAGA comes in and says, "All right, you know what? You guys elected us."
Also, keep in mind, unless somebody has a link to how this is possible otherwise, I'm pretty sure targeted tariffs on countries do not work because they will always just come through another country. You have no way to validate that supply chain in a way that you can enforce that tariff in any reasonable way. That's why you have to tariff the entire sector, well, unless you're trying to sanction somebody. You're not necessarily trying to tariff. They're trying to like just target and fuck over one country. Although I don't even know if the country would be fucked over. They're still like distributing it through other countries. Because you just end up paying more for it.
Inflation under Biden.
I will.
You come in. MAGA comes in.
Oh, also, wait. I haven't finished this video yet. Tim might do it here, but I just want to get ahead just in case. And if he doesn't, it will be coming, and it is true. Eventually, conservatives will be saying that paying more for things is good. It's actually okay. It's good to be paying more for. It's good to be paying more for goods and services. Even though they said the tariffs wouldn't make stuff more expensive, even though they said it'd be good for the economy, they're going to say actually it is going to cost more, but that's okay. That's a good thing that it's costing more.
It says, all right, you know what? You guys elected us because everything's so unaffordable.
I will stand on top of a mountain.
This goes up.
I will stand on top of a mountain and say, and directly into the eyes, I will do it right now. To every voter, I will look into the eyes of every voter right now and say, Brad is evil and accepts human sacrifice so that you can have a cheap iPhone. And if you're willing to buy a cheap iPhone, knowing that people are committing mass suicide, you stand along with them.
So I'm
and I will
evil
stand on the
because
other
I
side.
disagree with you about trade policy?
Because you think there's an acceptable degree of mass suicide in concentration camps so that your economy can improve.
I don't think that. You're shadow boxing with a caricature.
Like the Uyghur stuff was already happening in Trump term 1, no? When did the Uyghur stuff start? There's a bit longer of the Brad Tim convo. Oh my God. That's
I will look into the eyes of every voter right now and say, Brad is evil.
I'll be honest, I think Tim Pool has some anger issues. Take a listen to this clip where I try to explain why I think tariffs do more.
I talked to Brad before. I don't remember on whose show it was, but he seemed like a real-life human being. Very few people in this industry are like real-life human beings, but he seems like a real-life human being that has like real-life conversations, whereas Tim is like an actor.
More harm than good, and Tim literally just says he doesn't care about facts or data. Take a listen. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle when it comes to trade. Steel is a great example. President Trump tried to in his first term. He put tariffs on steel imports from our allies and from other countries in order to try to increase domestic steel production, and it worked a little bit, right? You had a little bit of an increase in U.S. steel production, but actual, and research on this is overwhelming, actual employment in U.S. manufacturing overall suffered. Multiple times more jobs were destroyed than created because the cost went up in all the other industries that have steel as an input cost. So other manufacturing industries lost jobs, so steel could be protected a little bit. More people lost jobs and lost income.
So like Brad is running into an issue here because he's trying to debate like econ, but the other guy is just like a populist rhetorician, basically. So Tim is never responding with substance to any of these points. It's just going to be, okay, well, how can I maneuver this into tariff good? And that's it. Like tariff good. The tariff is good because Trump wants it, so we have to defend the tariff. Oh, I guess that's probably why he starts sewing the fuck out and screaming.
In all the industries that rely on steel as an input cost. It's a huge negative to American society, but it protected some people who are well-connected.
And so what you're describing is what I call the heroin addiction economy, where it's let's continually gut and destroy the root of labor in this country for short-term gains in other areas. I don't care.
Short-term gains? Is that how you would describe the United States as all short-term gains? What do you mean?
If a top-level company is going to decrease a little bit, if it's going to restore the base and foundation of jobs in this country. So
you don't care about policies that destroy
I don't care about the fruits of the poisonous tree. And saying now that...
Well, I do.
The fruits of the poisonous tree? What the fuck are you talking about?
Great, and that will lead to destruction of this country.
I mean, the hyperbole at the end there is just quite something. Opposing steel tariffs will lead to the destruction of this country? I don't think so, Tim. I actually think we'll be okay either way. Now, my point here, just to explain if you couldn't get it from the brief clip, because I, again, wasn't allowed very much time to speak, is that Trump tried tariffs when he was president, and he put tariffs on steel imports coming into the country in hopes of protecting steel jobs in the steel industry here in the U.S. And it did do that to some extent. About 1,000 jobs in the steel industry increased after those tariffs. But as many as 75,000 other jobs were lost in other manufacturing sectors where they rely on steel as an input and their costs went up. So you protected some jobs, but overall more jobs were lost. That was my...
How does Trump misinform the public on foreign entities paying for a tariff? I'm 25 and people have gone their whole lives without knowing what the difference between import tax and tariffs. Yeah, well, most people never deal with that as an American. But the important thing to remember is, and you have to remember this, and it's already coming if it hasn't already, MAGA doesn't care. MAGA, it's kind of part of the, I don't want to associate this with the neo-Nazi talking point, because it's really not, but it's the economics talking point. A lot of these people are getting suckered into, they don't care about economics because the economics of the United States are pretty good. They never cared about the economics. They care about the intangibles, the culture, and they're willing to take economic hits to have what they consider to be a better culture. Now, Trump will talk about economics, but it's just like that's like a virtue signal for think tanks or something. The important thing is the culture. So if it ever comes down to a point to where we can fuck our economy over a little bit to have big culture gains, MAGA will always be in favor of that. MAGA will be in favor of that. Not just Trump, but MAGA will follow Trump there. So just remember that because it could be coming, or maybe it's already coming, but yeah.
My point that these things do more harm than good, and there's lots of data and facts and research to back that idea up. Now, you could disagree.
Am I missing something? Isn't the argument about tariffs is that we want to protect domestic industry by making our industry more competitively priced relative to foreign competitive? No. What are you talking about? No. What do you mean? We are competitive. We have the largest GDP in the world. We've got a big GDP per capita. We're the foundation of a ton of innovation, from pharmaceuticals to tech to software to fucking spaceships. Like, no, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What do you think America's missing? Like, only Trumples have gotten, like, hoodwinked into thinking that like, but do we have enough coal miners? We don't need coal miners. We're ahead of that. We're advanced beyond that level of economy. We don't need people going into mines to extract coal with pickaxes. And the fact that we're somehow sad that we don't have those jobs, it doesn't make any sense. Our economy is almost at full employment. We don't have a ton of people who are lacking jobs. Economically, compared to the G7, we're doing great, but I'll just say we're doing okay because that triggers some people to say that. You're not when you protect your basic industries, like your raw extraction or refining, you're doing that at the cost of every customer in the United States who now has to pay more for everything, and at the cost of your greater industries that are working further on down the supply chain. You don't want people mining lithium out of the ground. You want people being computer programmers. You don't want people who are, digging for fucking oil or natural gas. You want people creating rocket ships. That's what we do in our economy. We're highly specialized, and we create these like final stage goods and services that are really amazing that only the United States can create because we have the specialized knowledge to do so. We don't need to do the raw level, base level stuff. That's a waste of our time.
Agree. You could cite other studies, you could push back, but he didn't do that. He just says, I don't care. I don't care about the data. I don't care. I just want to protect workers. But I'm literally explaining to you how you're not doing that. It felt like I was talking to a woke person. He ranted on and on about personal anecdotes and experiences and hypotheticals. And whenever I tried to cite statistics or facts or research, he dismissed it as graph goes up. Take a listen to this clip where he does exactly that.
We're getting too much trapped into the graph go up argument, which is the stupidest argument imaginable. It is good that on average people can buy more sticks of bubblegum and there's no more baseball at the park, there's no more apple pie, there's no more Christmas. That's insane.
That's such a caricature of economic progress.
But the people who
what?
trapped into the graph
research, he dismissed it as graph goes up. Take a listen to this clip where he does exactly that.
We're getting too much trapped into the graph go up argument, which is the stupidest argument imaginable.
Oh, graph go up. So he doesn't care about the economy, and he'll virtue signal on this more and more and more going forward. And I'm sure he will more even in this conversation, but
it is good that on average people can buy more sticks of bubblegum and there's no more baseball at the park, there's no more apple pie, there's no more Christmas. That's insane.
That's such a caricature.
Apple pie, Christmas, in baseball games, right? And so we can buy more bubblegum, right? This is the economic for culture. So he's willing to make these big economic sacrifices for culture. Now, there is an argument I guess you can have there. Well, I mean, there's always an argument. There's an argument you can have for anything. However, remember, these were the people who said they wanted to run on like kitchen table issues and on the economy and on like building a stronger economic foundation. But this is not an economic argument. This is a culture argument. Ironically enough, I guess Brad kind of said it like what the progressives used to argue for culture over economy. Fuck the economy. We need to focus on DEI, affirmative action, culture shit, I guess.
Of economic progress.
But
to the people who, for 1 second, to the people who have struggled to afford everything over the last couple of years, and for people on your side of the political spectrum have railed against that and how unaffordable life has been, you are now coming on and championing policies that would make things go up and then dismissing the cost of living going up as.
What are the cultural gains they're trying to make? They'll never specify. They will never specify that. The reality is people feel kind of like lost and aimless. Probably, I've said this a million times, but it's not sexy to talk about somebody gives a fuck. Probably because of technology and technological proliferation, meaning like the fact that you're connected to the internet all the time, you've got a phone, it makes you fucking miserable because everything you read is horrible and evil and terrible. And instead of going outside and evaluating how you feel like the world is based on what you see, you're evaluating the world based on what your phone tells you to think about the world, which is horrible because that's where all the money is to be made, that's where all the algorithms are directing you, that's where all these people are manipulating your mind to be. So of course you feel horrible. So if somebody says they can protect your culture better, you don't know what the fuck that means, but it must be better than this. So then you go in that direction. That's it.
Oh, bubblegum more expensive, graph go down. No, actually, for people who don't have, comfortable media jobs, like I think most of us do, it's actually a big deal when things get more expensive. When the price they pay at the store goes up. Yeah, so like I say in this clip, it was just such a caricature of an argument. First, apple pie, baseball, and Christmas have not gone away. I don't know what he's talking about. I eat apple pie every year, and most Americans still celebrate Christmas. Some traditions have changed and waned, and baseball's a lot.
What's the healthiest solution to people that feel that way? I don't know. We have to do something to connect to each other again. I don't know if that just means going outside more or finding events or things that, I don't know. We have to feel that something is probably not good about the massive amount of tech that's like fucking flooding people's lives constantly.
A lot less popular than it used to be, and I'm sure there are many reasons for that. What it really has to do with free trade or why it's necessarily a bad thing, I'm not sure. There's still baseball leagues for anybody who wants their kid to play baseball. There's still baseball on TV for anybody who wants to watch it. It hasn't gone away. It's just become less popular, and I'm not sure why I should care. But again, the idea that has anything to do with free trade or that free trade has taken away apple pie or Christmas from America, it just comes off as delusional. And then he's dismissing increased costs for American families because of tariffs as bubblegum.
Real GDP gains only come from technological implementation. By offloading all manufacturing to China, you're giving up the ability to improve through advancements? How do you figure? First of all, history betrays you. That's absolutely not fucking true. Do you think America stopped innovating when we let other people refine metal for us? What are you talking about?
Just want cheap bubblegum. And no, it's about the price of clothes, the price of food, the price of housing. Like, these are the things that struggling Americans have struggled to afford in recent years. And protectionist trade policies, my argument is that they make those things more expensive. You can disagree with that argument if you want, but to just dismiss those concerns as you just want cheap bubblegum, it seems just completely dismissive and reductionist. He seemed to just blame everything under the sun on free trade, including the fact that kids don't play outside anymore.
Kids don't go outside anymore. And,
because of free trade?
Well,
No,
yes.
because of technology.
Okay, no, but wait, it's
like,
Oh,
seriously?
he said it. Who said it? Somebody said it. Technology. But technology is just not, that's just not very sexy. Nobody cares. Also, these guys make all their money on their technology, right? And I make money on technology. I make money in a way having you guys be, I guess, miserable or at least addicted to technology, right? That's so talking against that is kind of talking against your own interest. But it's just not a very fun thing to talk about. Are Americans actually struggling with basic necessities? No, but like if you say that, everybody gets super ass pained about it. So, but not really, no.
I think kids don't go outside because they play Fortnite on the Xbox or they're addicted to their iPads or because they live in less neighborhoods. Like, there's so many reasons for that, but it's not because we have too much free trade with Canada. And then at one point, the notion that young Americans these days are ignorant came up and don't understand our history and our culture and civics. And I agree with that to some extent. He suggested that too was because of free trade.
The people who don't live here and aren't from here don't know or
I think
care
a lot
about
of,
value
I think
who don't live here or are not from here? Does he mention, does he mean immigrants there? Or is he just talking about people manufacturing from other countries for us? I haven't watched this whole thing. So.
And he suggested that too was because of free trade.
The people who don't live here and aren't from here don't know or care about value.
I think an increasingly large share of native-born people don't know history or value traditions.
Which is exactly my point. It is being diluted and dissolved.
It's being diluted and dissolved.
But not because of immigration, because of their own ignorance and lack of education.
And I think a large...
This is a neocon, Brad. Well, that's like a bad word. That's like the N-word. You don't call people neocons. That's supposed to be an insult. But like, Brad is like a traditional like conservative. I think he just has like conservative values. These people are like a dying breed. Like the real conservatives who don't just buy into all of the MAGA populist brain rot.
Which is exactly my point. It is being diluted and dissolved.
But not because of immigration, because of their own ignorance and lack of education.
And I think a large component is free trade, which is why I brought the issue up.
Like, no, Tim, I actually think that's probably to do with the education system and with parenting, not with import levels and tariff prices. I mean, he just seemed to blame literally every single thing that's bad in America today on free trade.
Oh, so he's like, I don't know if he'll get there, but remember, it's like, don't respond with substance to anything Brad says. Blame import, tariff good, blame import, tariff good. Blame import, tariff good. Blame import and tariff good. Did you just call a libertarian a neocon? Libertarian will probably align with neocons more on econ policy and less on foreign policy. And a libertarian might align maybe more with a populist on foreign policy, but not at all on econ policy. Because populists like MAGA, there's a concept called third positionism, but these guys will be socialists. They might not call it that, but people like MAGA would have no problem with socialism as long as it's benefiting their ethno-nationalist interests. That was a mouthful, but the best recent example of this is, remember how much we hated Obama and net neutrality and Obama controlling the internet and net neutrality, this is the worst thing ever. But when Trump says maybe America should own 50% of TikTok, that's okay because it's serving the ethno-nationalist interests of the MAGA movement. So, yeah.
Including housing prices, which simply doesn't make any sense.
Inherently, Tom Fuller just said, third position identify as fascist and socialist. Yes, there's nothing inherently contradictory between fascism and socialism per se. If socialism is looked at primarily as an economic organization, a mode of economic organization, and if fascism is just looked at structure of government in terms of authoritarian, totalitarian leadership. So you can have a leader who wants to control the media, control the government, single party, if you want to be real big and prosecute political enemies, but is also like really big on redistribution, on protectionist policies, on anti-free trade stuff, anti-immigration stuff that's protecting your domestic workers and domestic economy. There's nothing contradictory between those two positions, which is what a third positionist and a lot of MAGA are like basically making their way towards if they're not already there.
In 1950, it took approximately 4,637 hours of labor on average for the average American worker to own a home. As of 2024, it's 15,142. I don't think Gen Z is particularly buying the argument that they've been raised out of poverty, things have gotten better. I think Gen Z is actually livid over the conditions that they've been left by these policies.
Like, this is such a one-dimensional stat. Like, to buy a house, like, first of all, we're talking averages or medians, because that's important, because there's probably a lot more larger houses now that might pull up the average. But also, like, what is the house now compared to what it used to be? My understanding is, if somebody has a link, I would appreciate this, because I've read this a lot, but I haven't seen this distilled in graph or, like, data form. So I want to make sure I'm not repeating something correct. But my understanding is houses in America in general have gotten a lot larger than they used to be as well. So if you have to work more for a larger house, it's not as surprising. And it might also be, too, that today people maybe expect more to have a house, whereas before they were happier living in, like, I don't know if like a townhome or like whatever the fuck you call those things are considered homes or not, or if those would be considered apartments, I'm not sure. But it's always be fearful or be wearyful, be weary of people that use like one-dimensional comparisons like that.
This whole framing is incorrect. Housing is not unaffordable today because of free trade. It's because governments across this country have made it impossible to build housing. That's why we have a housing shortage and housing is so expensive. And in fact, the kind of protectionist policies you're talking about would make housing more expensive. You put tariffs on the imports that go into building homes, you're only making it even more expensive. I mean, like I say in that clip, if you put tariffs on Canadian lumber or imports of construction materials that we bring in currently from all around the world, housing will get more expensive, not less. Like, I just don't understand this point. But at least there we were trying to have a civil conversation, which, as you'll see, didn't last that long. But anyway, like I said on the show, I felt like we lived in different realities. At one point, the other guest suggested, and Tim Pool agreed, with the notion that young American women today have no other options in terms of career prospects or income other than OnlyFans, which is, in case you don't know, like a subscription website where people can sell pornography of themselves.
I'm pretty sure women are being more represented across like more, at least when I checked this like 5 years ago, across more disciplines like than they ever were in the past, but okay. What did I debate this guy? I debated him on C-SPAN a long time ago. I don't even remember what Oprah, but
I'm not out here defending OnlyFans. I've always said I think people shouldn't do it. You usually won't make any money and you'll regret it. But that's like just not true. That people have no other options other than selling their bodies online because of our dystopian economy or something. Like, that's just not reality. It's completely untethered from reality, in fact. Here's that clip.
And then we get a new iPhone that has an action button on the side. That's worth gutting the entire Midwest culture of the United States, or giving my children no hope besides maybe OnlyFans if they're a girl, or becoming a podcaster. Tim, God forbid. God forbid our kids ever do that.
But this is just a non-reality. The idea that young women growing up today have no options other than OnlyFans. You need to touch grass.
No, No. There's over 1 million American girls on OnlyFans. That's crazy. There's over 1 million prostitutes.
That's not because they haven't. First off,
no, I'm saying because
is that there are 1 million American girls on OnlyFans, or was it there are 1 million accounts on the site, which also includes like worldwide. Anybody else who has a, I think, right?
The best options right now. The culture we're creating, we created technology and it's profitable, and we're basing off profit. On that regard, OnlyFans is a good option.
He's right.
OnlyFans is a good option.
Sorry, 1 second.
For the company.
Any young woman can go to college and become a nurse and instantly be employed. Can become a teacher and instantly be employed. It is massively in demand.
That's absolutely incorrect.
That's absolutely incorrect. If you're a nurse, you're going to have a hard time finding a job in the United States of America right now?
Woman can go to college and become a nurse and instantly be employed. Can become a teacher and instantly be employed.
That's completely wrong.
This massively in demand.
That's absolutely incorrect.
What about it is absolutely
You're
true.
not getting out of college and just getting a job. That's not true.
What does he think most people do out of college? Like just float through doing nothing for years and years and years? Like,
if you have a useful degree, you absolutely are.
Absolutely.
By the way, the 1 million figure, you've seen this probably online or in commentary.
It's just the number of accounts, and I think it's worldwide, isn't it?
The notion that 1 million American women are on OnlyFans, that's an estimate that's probably inaccurate. It's probably a pretty big overestimate for some technical reasons. They do it based on the share of revenue by country, and then they assume that equals out equal revenue per person when it's actually hugely unequal. So that's kind of a flawed estimate, but I'll link to a source explaining that discrepancy if you're curious about that. But regardless, to suggest that young American women today have no other options than OnlyFans and that's why they're choosing it is just like not true. As you heard, I talked about it in this clip, there's a huge shortage of nurses. So people who go to college, get qualified to be a nurse, they're not going to have trouble finding work. By and large, there could be some exceptions somewhere, but there's a huge shortage of nurses. And the unemployment rate for nurses as of 2022 was 1.6%. That's extremely low. The same thing is true with teaching, which I also mentioned. There's a huge shortage of teachers in America that are qualified and interested. So if you go to college and you get certified...
Remember, like, average unemployment, I think you want that number to be around 5%. So anything lower than that is considered suboptimal. Anything higher than that is considered suboptimal. 1.6%, whatever you said, that is an insanely low unemployment rate. Jesus Christ.
To be a teacher, by and large...
That's a buyer's market for employees.
you'll be able to find a job
shortage.
as one. I'm not saying our economy is perfect or there's just this fountain of amazing paying jobs or anything like that. Of course not. But I'm just saying it's like bizarre and insane to suggest that women have no options other than OnlyFans. I don't know what reality these people are living in. And I just gave you 2 examples with teaching and nursing, but it's true across the board. The unemployment rate for women with a college degree is 3%. It's under 3%. That means almost all women with college degrees who are seeking employment find it. Like, there's some truth to the idea that young people face difficult prospects, but just the alarmist level and detachment from reality, I felt both of them had kind of fallen.
Can you explain why a low unemployment rate is bad? Because you want there to be some level of frictional employment where people are moving between jobs. It gives employers the ability to hire people. It gives businesses the ability to start up. If the unemployment rate is too low, then nobody will start businesses because there aren't employees there. The wages will become insanely inflated. The business might become untenable because you have to pay too much for labor, and then you just either close shop, or the things that you sell become so expensive that nobody buys it, or it just becomes more exclusive. Just 5% I think is about like where you want your unemployment to be. You want there to be some natural friction.
In 4 struck me as really, really quite something. But now let's get into the part of the podcast where things got nasty and kind of unhinged. We talked a lot about China, which we do insane amounts of trade with China, and we rely on them and their production systems for basically everything Americans consume, from clothing to materials to food and electronics and so many other things. But Tim basically wanted to cut off all trade with China, seemed to not care what any of the economic consequences of that would be, based on moral outrage over some anecdotal, horrific, and truly terrible things that happen in China, which is, of course, an oppressive and horrific country in terms of their government in many ways. Take a listen to this clip where he talks about a Foxconn facility in China in a story from 2010.
Should we suspend trade with any country that has something like this happen? 150 Chinese workers at Foxconn threatened to commit suicide by leap.
Oh my God. Like, Tim gives a fuck about Chinese people. The moralizing. Give me a break, dude. I would have brought a fucking pacifier and a baby bottle just for this set. Give me a break.
From the factory in protest of their working conditions. Foxconn installs anti-jumping nets. Here's a photo of the anti-suicide nets. Is this okay for free trade? I mean, graph go up.
I remember this happening. Hang on, let me answer this question. So you just showed one terrible story from a country with billions of people and asked me if we should shut down trade with a whole country based on one anecdotal story from 2010 about one company in horrific conditions. By that logic,
No. I'm going to talk over you if you try to reframe the argument. I said, from this story, should we have shut down trade with China over, at this time, this specific incident occurring?
A whole country.
Yes.
Over one
company.
It's
a simple yes or no question.
No, we shouldn't.
Okay.
You can see there how he went on and on for minutes.
I like how he just says it too. No.
In the build up to this, but as soon as I started speaking, had to just interrupt me and shout over me for reframing it when I'm literally addressing his exact point. But anyway, my point is this little clip I just showed you, this exchange kind of reveals the demagoguery behind a lot of Tim's rhetoric.
Also, the net is an improvement. You don't want these people jumping and dying, right? I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
This conversation. He cited one horrific, emotionally compelling example from quite a long time ago, and then wanted to argue that because of that, we should shut down trade with an entire country of billions of people. And the point I tried to make before he shouted me down was that if we were going to do that, one horrific thing happening in a country means we can't trade with them. We couldn't trade with very many countries, and basically no one could trade with America. They just have to find one horrible.
Okay, I'm just banned for stupid shit like this. Earlier, you mentioned that we don't need to protect base-level industries like lithium extraction or steel production. I think there is a strong national security argument for both those two. I would say shipbuilding is some of those too. Just curious if you'd agree with those statements. Oh, you put the just curious thing in. Fuck you. Never mind. Okay, I won't ban you. You're lucky. You can make arguments for tariffs, okay, beyond economic arguments. So when you look at like the CHIPS Act, or if you say like we should manufacture microprocessors in the United States or have some level of steel manufacturing, because if we get into a war with a foreign country, then maybe we want to be able to manufacture these things at home. Those are legitimate arguments for protecting some industries. But those aren't economic arguments. Those are national security arguments that are usually made at an economic expense. So you might say something like, hey, we are going to pay more for steel. That's just a cost that we have to bear because the national security purpose, it makes it worthwhile. Or we are going to pay more for processors or for graphics cards or for, Intel bullshit, whatever, because it's worth it to have the national security interests there shored up domestically. Those are legitimate arguments for tariffs, but they're going to cost more. That's a cost that you pay for that. That's fine.
Place where illegal immigrants are being abused in labor conditions or something in our country, and then, America, terrible, don't trade with them. Now, to be clear, China has some very problematic practices and terrible labor conditions and horrific human rights abuses, and it's not just one place, but that argument he was using was literally just one example.
And if you want to go further, trading with these countries gives you more control over those industries because one, those people are working worse jobs than factory jobs, and two, you can actually force companies or force other countries to change the way that they treat their laborers through trade agreements. That's how you do it. But
actually really flawed as an example if you look at, again, any sort of statistics or data rather than just an emotional story from 15 years ago. Foxconn, the company he's talking about that produces electronics in China, had this big controversy in the 2010s over the suicide nets and terrible working conditions, and I'm not defending their working conditions. I'm sure they were very bad, and I think they did improve in part in response to this controversy, but the notion of these mass suicides doesn't exist. It's not real. If you just look at the data, you'll see that. In 2010, when the Foxconn suicides gained significant media attention, the company employed approximately 930,000 people. During that year, there were 14 confirmed suicides at Foxconn facilities. That translates to a suicide rate of 1.5 per 100,000 employees. Meanwhile, the overall suicide rate in China that year was somewhere between 14 to 30 per 100,000 people. So the Foxconn employees were killing themselves at much lower rates than Chinese people in general or Chinese people that work at other companies. It's not a representative example at all. It's just an emotionally charged, horrifying story to try to reach broad-based conclusions about billions of people based on one anecdote that tugs at the heartstrings. That's how woke people make arguments. And apparently, MAGA leaders like Tim Pool. And he talked a lot about forced labor and modern day slavery in China and these terrible things and kept trying to suggest that I somehow support that, though I obviously don't. And I looked into it even more after our conversation, and what I found was that about 0.4% of China's population is living in modern slavery, happening with a relatively small percentage of their population and workforce. Now, you might disagree with my opinion there, but does that make me evil? Because for just saying that, I was screamed at and literally called evil by Tim Pool. Take a listen.
If but one person is living as a slave, I have a problem with that and don't see why graft go up, why we should make money.
one person living as a slave? Is he against like he might be actually, the prison worker slavery stuff in the US or?
In any way off of a foreign country that is doing something like this.
So one person living as a slave in a country of billions of people, what you just said, we should write off trade with the whole country.
It's really simple actually. When Donald Trump calls him on the phone and says, you will right now get that man freed and declare it. Otherwise we put a 30% tariff on all your goods. Guess what that country does? It frees that slave. You are saying you accept a certain degree of mass suicide so that your graft go up.
That is not what I'm saying.
So you think we should?
No, maybe we should sanction trade with Foxconn. Maybe we should restrict trade in that industry. Maybe that specific region of China. It's horrible. It's evil. China's evil. I don't know what you're trying to make me say about.
We should not do trade
with anything with China. Okay, you explain that to Americans when every single thing they rely on and buy gets more expensive after years of inflation under Biden.
I will.
You come in. MAGA comes in and says, "All right, you know what? You guys elected us because everything's so unaffordable. Fuck it.
I will stand on top of a mountain. I will stand on top of a mountain and say, and directly into the eyes. I will do it right now. Every voter. I will look into the eyes of every voter right now and say, Brad is evil and accepts human sacrifice so that you can have a cheap iPhone. And if you're willing to buy a cheap iPhone, knowing that people are committing mass suicide, you stand along with them.
So I'm evil because I disagree with you about trade policy?
Because you think there's an acceptable degree of mass suicide and concentration camps so that your economy can improve.
I don't think that. You're shadowboxing with a caricature. Well, that clip was quite something, and it was something to be there. And have somebody tell you you're evil because you disagree with them about what the most appropriate trade policy is. Like, wow, I honestly wasn't expecting that. It caught me off guard. And of course, I already went over how some of what he's saying is just not true. There was no mass suicide at Foxconn. The suicide rate for Foxconn employees was much, much lower than the overall Chinese population. But of course, it is true that horrific human rights abuses occur in China at the hands of the Chinese government.
Okay. Does Tim always soapbox this disingenuously? Yeah, they love those soy moments. Elon Musk says AFD is Germany's best hope. I don't care about the fucking Elon Musk shit. Bro, that guy is fucking crazy. Oh, somebody had a Hassan take.
Are you that desperate to be edgy? Come on, Asman. What the hell is wrong with you, bro? It's like the classic, do I think Asmongold doesn't think the Holocaust didn't happen? No. I think he knows the Holocaust happened. 100% knows that the Holocaust happened. He's not but the whole,
oh man, 30,000, how many viewers do I need for Hassan to be this generous to me? What the fuck? What the fuck? Holy shit. Are we serious?
Are you that desperate to be edgy? Come on, Asman. What the hell is wrong with you, bro? It's like the classic, do I think Asmongold doesn't think the Holocaust didn't happen? No. I think he knows the Holocaust happened. 100% knows that the Holocaust happened. He's not but the very fact that he has to retain his gamer cred, he has to do this weird debate thing where he's like, oh, well, there's a 1% chance it didn't happen. It's such a stupid fucking thing to say, dude. Jesus Christ. Why do we care about what Asman says? Because he's the largest political content creator on this platform, whether you like it or not, okay?
True.
He quite literally is, as it stands, the largest political content creator and the largest content creator on the platform, as a matter of fact. With 53,000 concurrent viewers, Asmongold currently is the largest political content creator on the platform, okay? So.
That's so crazy. He's so clout upset. Fuck, man. I used to say that Hassan sucked on Twitch because he had no pushback. Now he has pushback, but they don't push back. Asmongold never covers Hassan because he's petrified of, I guess, any confrontation. Hassan gives this is 6 days ago. Even though Asmongold is like a fucking neo-Nazi MAGA opinion printing machine, Hassan is just like silent for the most part. I know that Asmongold could be a better person than this. He's just trying to be edgy for his gamer audience. Meanwhile, Destiny talks to Sam Hyde in an interview. Dude, Destiny's a secret Nazi. His whole audience are Nazis. They're all fucking not. Oh my God. Holy shit. That OTK clout. That bridge. Okay, we'll do the Zelensky thing tomorrow, okay? Assuming I'm not dead. Or depending on what my voice sounds like. Oh, this will be the opinion. I would gladly pay $100 for eggs if it means I never have to see another third world immigrant in my country ever again. It was never about the eggs, guys. Jacksonville officer fired for accidentally shooting man with his own gun. Like shooting the other guy with his gun, or shooting the guy with his own gun is to specify whose gun he shot him with. Why not just say accidentally shot the man? That title. I got 2 of these for soundproofing. I have no idea what it'll end up being like. I'm hoping for the best, though. It's made by the same company that makes my stuff downstairs. These things, if you put your face to them and you speak, there's like silence. It's like a magical, well, it's just soundproof material, I guess, but you like speak into them and they're like, whoosh, it disappears. So I'll probably put one on the front and one on the back, and then a carpet, hopefully. So I think for the studio downstairs, I want to, I think I want to just switch to chairs. I think it's better. I don't like the table. I think it's too awkward. And it'd be more comfy for anything else, and I think it would just be better for the ordinary podcast stuff. That's what I want to say. I want to redo the aesthetic of the studio downstairs. I think just ditching the table and just having like big lazy boys or something. I think it's good. How can you spice up the left side of your camera if there's a door there? I don't know yet. Open, it doesn't look as bad, but there's still that big white. I don't know. I bought a thing for my guns. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, though, when it gets here. It's called Gallotech. They have, like, modular wall mounting systems. I think I got a stand for this so you can mount stuff on. We'll see how this looks. We'll see. Okay, well, hey, listen. I love you guys. We'll try to survive. Keep fighting. Be safe. Be careful. Ripperina, cappuccino, poppuccino, hoppuccino, moppuccino, cappuccino, cappuccino, appuccino, alpuccino, my dude. I will catch you guys. Hopefully tomorrow, Reno. Unless my voice is dead from today. We'll see. Be careful.